My name's Heather Turano. Some of you may know me through my Facebook page, Autism Warrior, Long Island, New York, or Autism Warrior. I'm all over the place at
Are
this
you on
point.
Periscope as well?
Yes, I am. That's me. Hi. It's always me.
What do you go under so people know?
Autism Warrior, New York.
Oh,
Yeah.
when you're on Periscope
Yes.
as well? Okay,
Yes.
yeah, no, I've seen you definitely
Yes.
coming up. So.
Oh, yeah. I'm behind you guys 1,000%. 1,000%.
Fantastic. And who is this beautiful haired girl? That hair is wonderful.
Thank you. This is Angel, Sabrina, but her nickname is Angel. She likes to be called Angel. So this is Angel. And she's 15 years old now. She just recently turned 15. And I guess that's where kind of our story, story begins. I'm a mom of two. So I have, my eldest is 21. And she's neurotypical. She has suffered adverse reactions and has some biological damage, but neurotypical wise, she'll be okay. It wasn't, and with her, she was the first time I questioned a vaccine. I was very young when I had her, and I just remember vaguely saying to my mom, my mom telling me it's time for the pediatrician, the checkup for my eldest daughter, her name's Ariana. And I just remember that gut instinct back then saying, but why do they have to get shots? I don't want to give this shot to my kid. But, she had the vaccines because that's what we're told to do. And so fast forward up to when I had Angel here. She was born in 2001. And when there was a lot of different circumstances going on that contributed to how I was feeling and the reasons why I kind of allowed things happen the way they did. It wasn't the best relationship with her father, and I guess that's the nicest way to put it, and leave it at that. So I already had a pre-warning from her grandmother, her father's mother. Her father has a half-brother, same mom, different father, with severe autism. And she always said, watch the vaccine. So when I was pregnant with her, I had somebody telling me, watch the vaccines. And because of the type of relationship I had with them, I listened, but I didn't listen. It was kind of like, oh, well, they're nutty and crazy, but I don't want anything bad to happen to my kid. So when it came for vaccination time, in the beginning, I was kind of in denial. The first vaccine she received was in the hospital. She got the hepatitis B. She was 1 day old. And pregnancy, everything was normal, fine. She was delivered, normal, fine. Everything, breastfed right away. After the first vaccine, she almost stopped nursing. So I remember that. And then I remember them, it was the hepatitis B. And then we left the hospital then. And then the next time we went, it was the 2-month visit. I think it was a 2-month visit. And they wanted to do more vaccines. And I didn't want to vaccinate, but they told me she had to be vaccinated. So it was kind of like, whatever you do with the, pediatrician tells you to do. And then it was the 4-month vaccines that I was like things were starting to click because she was starting to develop like eczema. I've never seen that before. There were adverse reactions that I didn't realize were happening at the time that I understand now. But she was having things like wasn't sleeping, getting eczema. And when 4 months came, I had said to the pediatrician, the nurses, and the doctors that I didn't want to vaccinate. And at that time, I was getting ready to go back to work. And they said, well, for her to go to daycare or school, she had to be vaccinated. I wasn't told about exemptions. I didn't know that they existed. I basically wasn't given a choice. I was just saying, I was told if she's going to go to daycare so you could go to work, she has to be vaccinated. And she got vaccinated. Then it wasn't until right before she was a year old. I remember it was around, I think it was 10 months we went to that visit. It was around 10 months old because right before her first birthday, she stopped answering to her name. And that was a huge red flag for me. We did see other adverse reactions, the spot on the leg, the crying, not sleeping, all that kind of stuff. But the thing that hit me was when she stopped answering to her name. And the daycare's like, she's not answering to her name anymore. I think you should get her hearing tested. So we did. We got her hearing tested a couple of different independent places, and everything came back normal. So at 12 months, she got her vaccine still because everything was normal. She was still developing typically. She developed typically, normally hit all milestones all the way up to the year. She got her year vaccines, and then that's when it started looking like she was not paying attention, not only just to her name, but just like my voice or her sister's voice or something was going on. So then we got to the 15-month round of vaccines. And I remember with this pediatrician, I was so adamant because I switched to pediatrician and I was telling him I didn't want to vaccinate. And he told me the same thing. Well, if you want her to stay in school and daycare, she has to get her vaccines. I said, well, her grandmother said, you know, to read a vaccine packet insert. I would like to see one. You know, she's telling me there's mercury in vaccines. I'm concerned. I want to look at a vaccine packet insert. And I just remember vaguely within seconds, there was like 3 nurses and another doctor, and they were like all standing around me. And I'm like, just because I asked for a vaccine packet insert, and there was a reason why. Oh, because there was a baby. The hospital I was at over in Stony Brook University, a few weeks prior from me going to that appointment, there was a baby who died because of a mislabel. So that was my thing, is I want to see a vaccine packet insert. I heard that there was mercury. I don't trust, because there was a baby that just passed because you guys labeled, you know, a medication he was supposed to get incorrectly. I wanted to see it. And that's when everybody started coming in. And then that's when the bully and the manipulation started with, you know, well, you want your kid to die of measles, you know, you want this to happen, that to happen. And my gut was screaming to grab my baby and go. Grab my baby and go. And I didn't. And reluctantly, they vaccinated her. And at 15 months, she had the MMR, the HIV, the Prevnar, and the chickenpox all at once. And that's when it hit the fan. She lost all her words. She lost eye contact. The things that she was doing developmentally disappeared. She stopped being interested in her sister. She stopped being interested in me. She started this handcuffing thing, which she still, this is the last type of stim that's left now. But she started going, and I'm like, what is that? You know, she did a lot of turning and spinning, but she wasn't a flap or anything. Her stim was handcuffing. And I'm like, there's something wrong. And they just continued to vaccinate her. Every time we went back, she got more and more sick. With every vaccine, she regressed more and more. By the age of 2, she was diagnosed with autism, PDD-NOS. And even though I know it was much sooner, I say after 15 months she was gone. It was just disappeared. And so from that point, all I knew and all I was told was that autism was genetic because of her father has a half-brother that has autism. So they said, oh, look, it's genetic and it's a brain disorder. So we'll get early intervention. I did all the outside therapies. I did everything on the outside that I was told to do. I thought I was doing everything I could for her. I did the speech. I did the ABA. She had the early intervention. She had all of that. Unfortunately, that's all that she had until about the age of 10. So my child suffered for 9 years. For 9 years, she suffered medical. She was, I can't even describe, like, she would never be able to sit here. She would be climbing on walls. She'd be crying. I mean, she would bite. She was behavioral. We couldn't even go shopping. There was just, it was so bad for so long. And one of the key things that I had noticed throughout those years is that she wasn't thriving. She wasn't growing. She grew but an inch and gained but a pound within like a 5-year period. And I started getting red flags. It's funny how God works, because in 2011, the beginning of 2011 is, I was laid off of my job. I was working 12 hours a day. So when you're not around your kid and your kid's in school, you don't really see what's really going on. So when I was laid off, I was able to see it. I was with her all the time. And I saw a kid dying in front of me. That's what I saw. Dark circles under her eyes. I mean, you could see her pupils weren't right. I mean, just white, pale, skinny. You could see her ribs. I mean, the kid was deteriorating. And at that time, I finally got a computer, and I kind of, it was just I remember that night was just a very bad night. She was climbing walls, screaming, kicking. I mean, I never got sleep. Sleep just didn't exist in our house. And I just ended up in a ball like this in the corner, crying my eyes. I'm trying not to get emotional. Crying my eyes out to God, saying, tell me what I need to do. My kid is not okay. I know she's not okay. And I see she's not okay, but what can I do to help her? I've been to all these doctors and specialists, you know, throughout this time, you know, trying to figure out what's going on. And they're telling me she's okay. And then I find and I hear Jenny McCarthy talking about she recovered her son. And I used to hate hearing that. I used to hate her. I didn't even know her. And I used to hate hearing how she said she cured her son, because I was brainwashed so badly that it's a psychological thing. So when I prayed to God, I said, give me an answer. Healing and Preventing Autism came into my hands somehow, some way. I don't remember how. But as I read that book, just red lights, boom, boom, boom. Everything that was written in that book was familiar to me. Then I got her other books and I read her story, and I'm like, this is my story. This happened to me. I must not be crazy. This is going on, and now I understand. And so I went from this whole side that believed that it was a genetic brain disorder and you couldn't do anything, and I was doing everything I could for her, to this other side saying, no, there's more to it. It's medical. There's underlying conditions. There's things we need to do to help these kids, to treat them, to get them better. And that's what Jenny did in order to help her son. So this side wasn't helping me. I wanted to know more about this side. And that's where our journey began, with recovery and healing and treating her.
So what was the last vaccine she had? What age was she?
6 years old.
6 years old.
6 for school, for kindergarten. I was told she had to have them for kindergarten. I knew nothing.
What was that again?
What?
What did she have at 6 years old?
It was, I remember, a DTaP and an MMR. I remember those.
Just another MMR.
Yeah,
another
and that, let me tell you, that was a year from hell. That was a year from hell at school, and they were always trying to blame her, like something she was doing, and it was just like the teacher aide, such strong perfume, and after the MMR, a lot of sensory. A lot of sensory touching, couldn't have a drop of water on her, the smells, whatever. It was just a very, very bad.
Gastro issues? Yes,
severely constipated since a baby. A lot of gastrointestinal issues.
Have you worked all that out now?
Yes.
Good.
Yes. It was October of 2011, so it's 5 years now, is when I started biomedical. We went on the gluten casein-free diet, soy-free diet. I started getting blood work done to find out about nutritional deficiencies. We started the diet, and within 2 weeks, she was able to communicate a little bit, like, I want juice. I want to eat. Boo-boo head, boo-boo tummy, boo-boo throat. That kind of communication was the only communication I had with her, if anything at all. So the diet, she had all of the reactions from the gluten, how they say it acts as an opium, and they could have withdrawal symptoms. She went through all of that. It was really, really hard, and I fought through it, and I said, this is going to work. And within 2 weeks, she started talking. It just cleared up.
So she's talking now. So now she's got headphones on right now.
Oh, yeah.
So
she's tuned into whatever. We've had a very, very, very long past 2 days, so I'm just glad that she's sitting here nicely. But
typical 15-year-old behavior, quite frankly.
Yeah. But now now I can have a conversation with her. Now she can tell me her needs and her wants. I mean, it's not 100% perfect. However, her quality of life is so much better now. Learning what we did, going back to the whole diet, just from the diet and then starting fish oil. I remember her brushing her teeth. I tell this story to everybody because I always tell them, stick through the diet. I'm telling you, within 2 weeks' time of being gluten and dairy free, and then all I did was started fish oil. She was pretty independent already. She was brushing her teeth as she was in her in the bathroom, and I remember being in the kitchen, and then I remember I was reading something, and out of nowhere I hear, "Mommy!" And I'm like, oh my God, what happened? And then she comes running in. It was like, do. She goes, I could talk, just like that. And that's when it clicked, and I knew I was on the right track. I knew she understood why I did what I did with the food for those 2 weeks. It was really, really tough. It's so much easier to change the food and the diet.
Ice cream mixer?
We could do the ice cream mixer later. It's so much easier to change diet when they're little than when it's older. So it was a lot harder for us to get the ball rolling because I was dealing with an older child. But we did get the ball rolling, and throughout that time we learned that she has mitochondrial dysfunction. We both have MTHFR genetic mutations, so that's where the compromise comes in. Also, she has an immune deficiency, an immune disorder. Her father has autoimmune issues that we didn't know about. So she was basically born a vulnerable, susceptible child. And what we had learned through testing and doctors is that she was synergistically poisoned. Basically, she suffered brain, gut, immune, and metabolic injuries from the overtoxification from the vaccine she received. She got a total of 21 doses of 11 different vaccines by the time she was 6 years old. So the doctor that helped us with this basically said if she was born today and had all those vaccines, she wouldn't be sitting here today. So she does have a medical exemption now. Oh yeah, that's right. Oh yeah. So it's been extremely difficult for my family. When she
all
was
the LPS I got in this bag.
You do got all your LPS in the bag. I know it's your favorite new bag, right? We'll show Polly when we're all done.
Yeah.
My husband now is godsend. I met him right before she turned 2. So the stepdad is like dad to my children, and there was I'm getting emotional again. Many times throughout the difficult years that I thought he'd leave. And I was very scared that he'd leave. But he didn't. He thought I was nuts at first when I learned all the information I did. I did close myself off from a lot of family and friends. They thought I was crazy, and I just didn't care because I knew something was wrong with my baby, and I'm going to figure out what the hell it was. In order for me to help her, I need to understand what happened to her. And my journey started with just learning about vaccines because I've always had a hunch. I saw it happen. And just from that, it's just a snowball effect. You know, when you start learning about vaccine ingredients, I mean, it just doesn't take rocket science when you figure out what they're injecting into our babies, what's going on. Then you add on top, you learn about the GMOs and the pesticide. I mean, we're being synergistically poisoned, and our babies are being sacrificed because they know about it. And what I love about what you guys are doing is, in the CDC whistleblower, is this documentary. My daughter is the poster child. She regressed after 15 months round of vaccines, and the MMR was within those. And I firmly believe that the MMR had a big portion of what had happened to her because of the MTHFR. I was taught and told that if you have that genetic mutation, live viruses are even more harmful than other ones. And she had 2 of them. She had chickenpox and MMR together with those, the HIV pregnant.
We now know we're never supposed to be.
Never supposed to be together. So at this point, my husband has backed me up. He's become warrior. He's become Mr. Warrior.
We want to meet this man.
I know. He's just fabulous. He busts his butt all the time so I could be at home with my daughter. She was in school district, and she went through all of that until 7th grade is when I had to remove her. And I had to remove her because the schools don't know what they're doing. That's a whole other big story that we can get into. But getting her home and being able to be at home with her and homeschool her and do all the treatments we're doing, homeopathy, we're detoxing with homotoxicology. The more that we go through that and the more that comes out, the better she seems to get. It's so much easier to treat our kids when they're not in this, around in the school system or whatnot. I don't have to worry about all that.
I think everybody wants to have a little chat.
Angel, you want to say hello to everybody?
Hello, everybody. I like your LPS case.
You like the LPS?
They all want it on eBay. Yeah, there's a long time.
It's wonderful.
She wanted it on eBay for a long time, and we just got it, right?
And for the we get some. These pets are 1990s. Oh.
You want to open it up and show them?
And this is give you worst pets.
Yeah, open them up and show them. Show everybody. Show everybody your pets. She's so good with years. If you tell her what your birthday is, she'll know. She'll know. She knows everybody in my family's the days, the birthdays, the years.
Well, this is the one that I need to get, and this is the old one that was the marks. Remember in that bucket.
Yeah, remember in that bucket.
And this chinchilla with the glitters. with that flower with the ears.
These are her favorite guys.
They're wonderful.
And this short-haired cat with, and then this cat. This short-haired cat is so many memories because he was actually inside that. I have a member that he had to. And he have a Christmas Eve
So many
in
memories.
2014.
Everyone's saying they love your nails, by the way.
Oh, they love you. They love your nails.
Pink nails.
Oh, she loves nail polish. Always changing her nails.
And this monkey, I almost went for. And my dad gave you this one.
My dad gave me this one.
And this green parrot, my dad gave you that one.
Got a few left.
And this lizard, I have to do some skinny set. And this one, I have so many have a stage. I was little.
When you were little, she loves to do. She does a lot of videos. If you guys go to YouTube,
This rabbit is in so many memories. They gave markers with brown.
you know what? You did do that when
Yeah,
she was
but-
little. She used to get markers, and we used to have to color in certain things. So that's funny, yeah.
Markers on eyelashes.
Yeah, you did. You used to make eyelashes with the marker.
Eyebrows, somewhere.